So, I put out a new record a couple of weeks ago. And it's a very exciting time for me. People ask me, this is like my, fifth record or fourth or sixth, however you look at it. And people ask more and more, with the more records that I put out, they say, is this less exciting than the first record that you put out? How does that work? And honestly, it really is not. Like, it gets more, I think, more and more exciting every time I put a record out, for both me and my mother. And she gets so excited. And it's not just the act of like writing songs and putting them on a record and putting together like a body of music, which never gets old, but it's actually getting a CD pressed and getting many of them made at like a building that makes CDs, and it actually ships to the right address and you get them. That never gets old. When I put out my very first record, this was like, I was in college and back in Indiana, and I had put this record together over a couple years, technically, because I was writing songs in my dorm room, and most of them terrible, terrible songs. But we picked 10 or so good ones, and we put them on this record. And I was working with this student-run label at my school. So there were like, there were 12 of us that were like putting our heart and soul into this record. We do all this stuff. We pick out the artwork. We do like a little photo shoot. I go shopping, for the first time since high school at that point. And we send it off, and they make the record. And at the time, when I got the record, I was actually working at camp. My band and I, we were up at like a camp, and we were like the camp band. This was about 10 years ago. And there's absolutely nothing glorious about being the camp band in residence. But you get lots of kids, so we're playing in front of a bunch of kids, which is what we want. But we also, as part of the deal, we had to get up at like 5:30 in the morning, every morning, and work the ropes course. That's like trees in the woods. You're in the tree, you got like a helmet on, you're like strapped in, you got my little harness, everything. We were like on the tree most of the day, and then we would get down and play for kids. That was what was going on. And they shipped all these records to the camp, and I'm so excited about getting my first CD. Like, we opened the box, and there's so many of them. They all have my face on so many of my faces. I would just spread them out and look at them. And so the camp had like this little store. So we put the record in the store, and they opened up for the day. And of course, the band, we go off to the trees. And we're just up there talking in between campers, and we're like, man, think of how many campers are buying our record right now. They're in the store. Their minds are just being blown right now with our music. And I see somebody like walking down the trail, and I can see them for a while away, because I'm up in a tree. And I see them coming, I can see they're holding, keep in mind this was 10 years ago, so they're holding this Discman, They're holding it very carefully, listening to it, so I won't skip. And they get up to the tree and they're like, hey, I got your new record. And I'm like, yeah, you and everybody else probably. And she's like, have you heard it? And I said, well, yeah, I'm not familiar with the songs. I haven't put it in and listened to it. And she said, well, maybe you should listen to it. And I'm like, this is so sweet of you to come all the way out here in the woods from the kitchen or whatever, wherever she worked, and let me, christen my first record, like listen to it up in a tree. And so, she puts it on the little thing, and I put it on. And my first record that I put so much heart and soul into had been pressed at the manufacturer as Spanish learning tapes. Everything else, all the artwork was great. Everything was good. The CD said my name on it. You put it in, and you get 4 20-minute tracks of Spanish learning. So anytime now that I get a record, I open a box, I take the shrink wrap off, I put it in, and if that's my music, that never gets old. It never gets old. And since I just put one out a couple